One more. Got a couple minutes. This is how I conduct. You know, Bill Tiberio has his way. Good evening, everybody. Welcome. My name is Brett Provenzano, and once again, I am here as the proud superintendent of the Fairport Central School District. Before we get moving along, let's give a big round of applause to our amazing quartet, directed by Bill Tiberio and Elena. Rick, they're not here tonight. I mean, isn't that amazing? They're here performing, speaking their truth with music, doing it all by themselves. I appreciate that. Congratulations and thank you to Aiden Ross. Say hello. Yep, there you go. Aiden Ross, Liam Yusko, Caitlin Duffy, and Aaron Hart. Let's give them a big round of applause. Music always brings it to life. In my 17th year here in Fairport, I have the distinct honor to preside over tonight's Wall of Distinction induction ceremony. I humbly acknowledge the privilege I have to be a small thread in the dynamic tapestry of our legendary community. Here tonight at the Wall of Distinction ceremony, we are honoring the important legacies and meaningful contributions of John Baines, Dave Lanning, Cindy Fortner, and Laura Mangerian. These individuals are giants in the hearts and minds of so many, and we look forward to celebrating their rich and full Fairport story. Our current Board of Education, and of course our past boards, have certainly understood that individual efforts and caring hearts make the difference in supporting environments so our students can thrive. We do great things here in this district that are unique, and our spirit is alive and well in so many instances because of our amazing educators. Educators are anyone who serves our students. And these amazing educators are mentors to many students in little and big ways. We are gathered here, I believe, for the 16th time at the Education Wall of Distinction with this vision firmly intact. We honor professionals who have the ideals of service to a greater cause flowing seamlessly through their veins. Before we begin tonight's ceremony, we have some opening remarks to set the tone by some pretty important people and individuals in our community. I would like to welcome Erica Bellows-Pacer, our Vice President here at Fairport Board of Education. Erica.
I know my name is always tricky. It's just pretend there's no O. It's 2 L's. Bellis. Yep. So I'm really excited to be here tonight. I haven't been able to be here before because I actually joined the board at the beginning of COVID. So congratulations, and it's wonderful to see so many people here today. So I did want to first and foremost thank everybody for being here tonight. I know it's a Wednesday night. I know many people here, and I know you all have children, in many cases grandchildren, and probably a lot of other things going on. So thank you for being here. I also did want to recognize there are a few other board members in the audience, so if you want to wave, feel free. You don't have to. I told Joyce if she was here, I wouldn't make her talk. And also thank you to Susan Casement for being here, obviously Brett for being here, and Meredith Broadbent, who is going to be speaking later. I'm not going to take a ton of time, but I did just want to say I had to do a little research because, again, I haven't been to this before. I have been in the district with my 3 kids for quite a while, but high school came for us when COVID started. So I did find out this started in 2004, so it's been a long tradition, and I think that Susan's going to talk a little bit about the board starting it, so I'm not going to talk about that, but I know that it was a board initiative, and we continue to support it, and I think it's just really wonderful that we're honoring not just teachers, but staff throughout the district that have made an impact and a lasting effect for our students. So thank you for being here. And I did want to mention one more thing. A couple weeks ago, we were here recognizing in the auditorium our tenure and our new teachers, and to see the excitement and all the new folks joining our district, and then being here tonight and seeing folks that have stuck with us for a longer period of time and the impact. I'm hoping that we'll see similar things with the folks that are new and our newly tenured teachers too. So I'm going to hand it off to Susan. Oh, sorry.
That's fine, Erica.
Okay.
I've known her for 2 years, and she finally tells me that it's Bellows. So. Fairport Educated Association President Susan Casement. Susan, it's always a pleasure, and I know you have a deep history with many of these individuals up here, so I think it's very appropriate that you're here to have some opening remarks. Susan.
Good evening to our honorees, John, Cindy, Dave, and Laura, as well as family, colleagues, friends, and students of our honored recipients. Also, we greet our board members, administrators, student speakers, and FEA members who are present. On behalf of FEA, I thank the chair of the Wall of Distinction Committee, Mark Lincoln, Thanks to the entire committee who have arranged for the various needs to make this gathering a success. And to Bob Clark, the hosting principal, for the entire week's activities. FEA is a proud and continuous sponsor of the Wall since its inception, as Erica was saying. A revered past board president, Matt DiRizio, hosted a meeting in his home in 2004. He had an idea about honoring Fairport employees who made a difference in the Fairport school family. One of the meeting attendees sharing ideas was FEA past president John Baines, who significantly is an honored recipient this year. That committee was dedicated and determined to put its ideas into operation in a year's time. Light speed in the life of a committee, right? But they made it happen. We are here tonight to thank them for their foresight and passion to create the Wall of Distinction dedicated to professionals and excellence. Mr. DiRizio was committed to honoring those who may not have received other accolades during their quiet dignity and humble ways of their career. Throughout its history, the Wall of Distinction has acknowledged Fairport family members who contribute to the success of each child with grace and heart. Tonight's honorees will not only be added to the Wall of Distinction, but their own distinguished careers will enhance the already august group. Our new members are noted for dedication, perseverance, and diligence for the benefit of students, colleagues, and the school district. These are the teachers and nurse among us who are models of their professions, who have excellence running through their beings without apparent effort. They are the kind-hearted primary teacher with time for every child, attentively listening and smiling as if it was the first time she had ever heard such an amazing story. They are the distinguished secondary educator who produces a magical classroom, a place where students are glued to every word. They are the healthcare professional whose nurse's office is a safe haven for the sick and the well, students and colleagues who know the advice and care provided will be given with warmth, concern, and perhaps a touch of humor. They are the teacher, Red Raider coach, whose words inspire others on and off the field, because those words are always accompanied with genuine interest into the well-being of others. They are the curriculum and math wizard with a guiding light for staff and students, the masterful sport coach, as well as classroom teacher who continues to mentor the many of our students, the beloved nurse with seemingly endless time for everyone, and the English sage and magnificent writer who also possesses FEA authority and expertise. They are the professionals who inspire students to come to school every day, and truth be told, perhaps a few adults too. Most of all, the honorees show an excellence in education done with understanding and respect, who touch lives in infinite ways, and they are celebrated tonight, just as Matt DiRizio wished a couple of decades ago. Cindy, Dave, Laura, and John, your accolades are accomplishments, of distinction. We are privileged to honor each of you. We hope to embody what you represent each day of our careers. We thank you for your graciousness and congratulate your distinguished and distinct careers. Congratulations.
I would like to now introduce Councilwoman Meredith Stockman Broadbent from the Perrington Town Board, whose love and passion for Fairport will come through in resounding ways. When you hear her speak, you'll see that her passion for Fairport and her understanding of what this event means will speak truth. Meredith Stockman Broadbent.
let's just take that bar down a long way, okay? Um, so I am so honored to be here tonight. I graduated in 99, and when I was in 7th grade, Beth Sugg and Sonia Coughlin handed out paper plate awards to their students, and they gave me an award called Most Likely to Have My Own Talk Show called Off the Topic with Meredith. And I think my husband would definitely say they really nailed it. You know, it's amazing how well you teachers get to know your students. And see their personalities and take that personality and shine the best possible outcome on it. I'm still waiting for my call from Oprah. If anyone knows her, I would love that. I was looking at some of the list of previous inductees, and you know, it's really amazing. I know tonight we're also in the presence of greatness. You know, Sonia Coughlin was my social studies teacher for 2 years. I remember her teaching firsthand. So when she taught about women's liberation, she told us how she took off her girdle and threw it in the garbage. And we were all shocked. You know, I had to remind myself what that was. And, you know, I definitely remembered that. She had a way of making all of us see our best selves and then want to protect each other for the rest of our time at FHS. She was so good at that. Linda Perello, she was such a funny, nurturing teacher who loved her dogs enough to bring them to our class picture. You know, they're both there. She was fantastic. Ken Brown, he taught me, you know, orchestra forever. I remember one day I don't know if he was joking or not, but he was so tired of listening to the marching band practice in the parking lot. He was like, all right, let's go, guys. And we got our violins and our bows, and we marched out into the parking lot too. And we played alongside him just to bug him, you know, and we tried to do, you know, spinny things with our bows. I didn't quite cry at my high school graduation, but I definitely cried at my last orchestra concert. You know, it's a really special thing. Chris Baruto, you can't pass by that man without almost saying, stay gold, pony boy. You know, there's just something about the way that he teaches that really inspires you. And, you know, when I was dating my husband, I made sure he met Chris Baruto because I knew that Curtis, my husband, need to get his approval before we got married. He played such a huge part in my life. Mary Bunting, she was the nurse for my 6 years at Brooks Hill. She taught me you can still be sick even if you don't have a fever. I'm not sure I tell my kids that, but I remember it for myself. Janet King, just her endless enthusiasm. You know, she was my English teacher in 6th grade, and at that time, someone had predicted that the world was going to end, and it happened to be during the school day. And so, of course, let's end it happy, you know? And so she said, English is the most important thing in our lives. Everybody grab your English books. We're going to go outside and just clutch it and wait for the world to end. And we did, you know, and the world didn't end. But I remember she just loved us and she loved English. She's really amazing. Dave Paddock, so many stories we could tell, but I remember our senior year, we wanted to do a prank, and the prank that someone came up with was to take all of the furniture out of his office and turn it into a senior lounge. Well, of course, he just embraced that. It was the best thing ever, and so it really backfired. And suddenly, we all wanted to go hang out in his office. Like, we didn't want to anyway already. Rich Osterling, the patience of a saint, to start out teaching in 4th grade. Orchestra and to just keep that going forever. What a gift. I have a daughter in orchestra right now, and I think, how do you get from there to there? But you do it, and you do it so well. And, you know, Bill Tiberio, I really feel like it was a pity move, but he let me be in jazz band, and I felt so cool. You know, I could not play jazz. Tonight, you know, I asked some people if they wanted to share any stories about our inductees. I had a few people reach out, and it was really neat the things that they had to say. You know, someone wrote in and said that it was the first day of class, and they were in journalism class waiting for their teacher, and class start time had come and gone, and our teacher was nowhere to be found. I recall wondering if we all somehow were in the wrong room, but was too shy to say anything about it. And then suddenly the door burst open, and a dark-haired man ran into the room. He flung his bag onto the desk and yelled, "Hurry up and write this down." And so that was one of his first and many memories about John Baines, a funny, charismatic, attentive teacher I'll remember forever. Someone else said that he always called himself Johnny Bad Boy Baines. So those are things you don't forget. About Mrs. Mangerian, you know, someone wrote and said that she really holds a special place in their family's heart. From their son, the son said, "Every single tooth I lost while at Dudley, she pulled it out." I don't know how you do that. And he says, she did it so fast, it didn't even hurt. She is the nicest nurse ever. And the parent went on to say, in fact, on Valentine's and Christmas, Jace always had her at the top of his gift list. She's truly special. About Cindy Fortner. Someone had something really sweet to say. They said, Cindy Fortner was an amazing support to me during my first year of motherhood and following the death of my father. Cindy went above and beyond to ensure my classroom was taken care of so I could focus on my dad's health and the health of my son. I used her as a shoulder to cry on and an ear to listen to during one of the hardest years of my life. Another person said, our kiddo went into her first grade year dealing with the significantly impactful loss of her best friend. Mrs. Fortner provided the utmost care, and I truly believe that she helped mend our child's heart, at least in some way, throughout the school year. She seemed to instinctively know when our child needed emotional support and never hesitated to provide it. We will be forever grateful to the role she played in helping our child get through that challenging year. Hers is a name that will always bring a smile to our household. And Coach Lanning, many people from my graduating class of 99 reached out and talked about how Mr. Lanning encouraged every one of them to be their best on the field and off the field and to have integrity and always strive for excellence. And so many people said that he loved Ric Flair and that it was always, you're talking to the Rolex wearing, diamond ringing, wheeling dealing, limousine flying son of a gun. He loved this wrestling guy, and all the kids loved that about him. They were so excited. They just loved that about him. I just want to say thank you to all of you for your teaching. Your tradition lives on. I started subbing when it seemed like COVID might shut us all down again last spring. And then this year I've been subbing a lot more. And it's amazing to see how this tradition of excellence just continues on. My oldest son is in 7th grade now, and lucky me, he knows everything now. Wow, #blessed, right? And it's amazing though to see the nurturing that comes from his teachers and how they see the best parts in him and help him see the best possible outcome of his personality. And this tradition of excellence, it is there. I know I was in such good hands at Fairport. I know my kids are in such good hands, and our community is in such great hands because of all of you. So thank you so much, and congratulations.
Does anyone want to sub? No? Can't get any takers? Meredith, that was powerful. Again, been coming here for a number of years, and that resonated with many different people here, and you delivered as promised. I would like to take a moment to recognize our Honorable Wall of Distinction Committee. Please take a moment and stand for our committee members. Committee members, please stand. Yep. In particular, we want to thank the chair of this committee, Mr. Mark Lincoln, for his incredible leadership. Many details that start as soon as this ceremony ends. We get gearing up for the following year. We thank and acknowledge the work of our entire committee because it's amazing how much care and commitment and dedication they put into the process, who among other roles have arranged the refreshments. Thank you, Jerry Lee Whitten, who's our, Jerry Lee's our FRIA representative. There are 101 past inductees to the Education Wall of Distinction. If you are a former member of this distinguished recognition, please stand for a moment and be recognized. It's amazing how the numbers keep growing and the stories continue to live on. To our Board of Education, I won't ask them to stand up because they hate when I ask them to do that, but thank you truly for empowering us all to recognize the importance of celebrating each other. It's at the heart of everything that we do, and your priority is always to position professionals to make a difference. Thank you, Board of Education. Our students tell the stories like nobody else can. When you want to know the truth, ask a student. Student reps will be presenting their awards tonight. I'm introducing Sophie Mulconnery, who will share the legendary story of Dave Lanning, who has inspired countless students and student athletes to be the best version of themselves. Please say hello. We're going to introduce you, so say hello. Yeah. Let's give a big round of applause for Sophie. Katie Mailber will speak to the wit, wisdom, and passion of John Baines, whose love of literature and of life provided hope and a ray of light to the lives of his students and his colleagues. Greg Pepin will speak to the inner qualities and heart and soul of Cindy Fortner's deep-seated commitment to each of her students and to the education profession. Say hello to Greg. Travis White will be talking about how Laura Mangerian's warm and welcoming spirit brought comfort and care to countless children as a school nurse here in Fairport. Tonight, we are affirming the stories that John, Cindy, Laura, and Dave have bestowed upon the countless colleagues and children here in our Fairport schools. We anticipate hearing their stories and celebrating in their joy tonight. Let's begin. Right now, we'll ask Katie Mailber to come forward and present to Mr. John Baines.
I'm so proud to stand before you tonight to induct a man who has positively influenced the lives of thousands of Fairport kids. Mr. Baines' story starts in East Rochester, New York, a town that he still calls home. Mr. Baines grew up in a household with a family of 12. Mr. Baines' mother and father were committed to raising 10 children, and he greatly looked up to both of them. When I spoke with Mr. Baines, he shared with me a lesson his mother taught him growing up. Believing in others is the number one gift you can give to people. Mr. Baines embodies this altruistic message and showed his belief in others daily when he was a part of the Fairport Central School District. He mentioned that he misses Fairport High School every single day. And he mentioned that specifically for the way our Fairport community supports one another is what he values most. Mr. Baines told me that over the years, his Fairport students taught him that being a part of the Fairport district wasn't about him, but that it was about his students. With his belief in his mother's message about believing in others, this is one of the reasons why we are celebrating Mr. Baines tonight for his dedication, pride, and love for being a part of the Fairport Central School District. Mr. Baines worked in our district for 39 years. He was a teacher that taught every single English class, except theater, and was also a track coach here at Fairport High School. Mr. Baines also was the president of the Fairport Teachers Union. He was the creator of the Fairport Weekly newspaper, The Lampion, and, coincidentally enough, the founder of the Wall of Distinction. After going to college at the University of Toronto and the University of Rochester, he was interested in teaching reading and writing, which is how he ended up here in 1978. Over the course of his teaching career, Mr. Baines shared that what he learned is teaching is more to learn about students than it is to learn about reading and writing. He shared that he tried to model the joy of communicating, reading, writing, and believing in kids, and this was modeled when his students openly recognized and celebrated one another in his classes every day. Mr. Baines helped build a community of support around students here at Fairport that celebrated their hard work. Although Mr. Baines shared with me that teaching has its hard times and journeys, he realized that there is no better reward than making an impact on a child's life. As he put it, it's the students that uplift you. Tonight, Mr. Baines wanted me to also recognize some of his fellow colleagues and mentors that made his time here in the Fairport Central School District special. Mr. Paddock, Mr. Clark, and Mr. Ryder were his principals that he worked for over the years. Betsy Exner, Bill Keplinger, Sandra Robinson, and all of the other Fairport High School English teachers were also those who helped Mr. Baines succeed when he was a part of this district. And, of course, his wife, Mrs. Baines. Mr. Baines shared that he was mentored by and mentored my dad, Mike Malber. The very last question that I asked Mr. Baines was if there was anything else that I could share at this ceremony for tonight that he could shed more light on himself as an individual and as a positive influence on the Fairport kids. His response was short and sweet, let's keep it modest. I think this speaks for itself as to why we are celebrating such a humble, successful, caring, and passionate individual who has made such an impact on the Fairport community. Thank you, Mr. Baines, for your commitment to Fairport over the years. Although we miss having you here at Fairport High School, we know that you were once a Raider and will always be a Raider. Thank you.
What's impressive, you'll see, as indicated by Katie's reflections and thoughts, it was done in a 45-minute lunch session. And I think that speaks to the engagement and the care that our students are presenting and sharing. Yeah, John, you are a mentor, a teacher to us all. And I remember the first time I met you on that interview committee, and through the years, the great conversations, the learning. Every time you interact with John, it's like get your notebook out, right? Because there's a deeper lesson. He's definitely motivated by the principles of love, and always said, love your way into Joanna Perrin, and I've been able to do that and follow that advice. So I appreciate all that you've done. Thank you. I would like to have Greg Pepin speak to the inner qualities and heart of Cindy Fortner's deep-seated love and passion for teaching. Greg.
Good evening. Tonight, it is my esteemed pleasure and privilege to honor a pillar of our Fairport community of Brooks Hill of the first grade, Mrs. Cindy Fortner. We honor her dedication in educating the whole child and every child. As an elementary teacher in Fairport for 27 years, she has fostered a legacy of lifelong learning and considers each of her students as one of her kids. Above all, Mrs. Fortner treasures the relationships that she has built with both her students and colleagues. She deeply values the importance of families and connections as a teacher, finding joy and fulfillment through them. Mrs. Fortner truly embodies the distinct spirit of Fairport education. Some of you may know, however, that Mrs. Fortner did not originally grow up as a Red Raider. She is from Michigan, moving to East Aurora in her rebellious teenage years until finally landing at SUNY Geneseo. In fact, she did not always want to become a teacher. She credits her mother, a school teacher herself, for inspiring her to pursue a career as an educator. Today, she can't see herself doing anything else besides teaching, the magical process that it is. Fairport became Mrs. Fortner's home as she began her career first at Dudley. In fact, it was there that she met her husband Mike, who is now a retired teacher in the district, at a new teacher's orientation some years ago. Mrs. Fortner has taught in Fairport for 11 years before having her twin boys, Jack and Luke. She stayed home for a period of time, however, to raise her kids. During that time, she volunteered at the URMC neonatal unit. It was a deeply personal, rewarding experience, as she had overcome similar circumstances with her own children. Indeed, becoming a mom changed her world. As Mrs. Fortner remarked, "If you told me I would be a better teacher after becoming a mom, I wouldn't believe it." But that's just what happened. As a mom, she is deeply conscious of the importance of providing for children regardless of their abilities. She embraces the essential, albeit hard work, that teachers are called to do. She later rejoined Fairport in the 2006-07 year, and Mrs. Fortner fondly remembers the years when she, her children, and her husband were all at Brooks Hill together. She has taught from kindergarten through third grade over her tenure. She loves teaching first grade because it is when kids are just starting to learn. Mrs. Fortner continues to be a conduit for learning and a beacon of light for all those she encounters. Mrs. Fortner believes in her students. She finds joy in caring for them, nurturing them, and encouraging them through academics. She relishes the moments when kids achieve what they thought they could not. She recalls students in awe of their ability to write 3-paragraph essays, to read books for the first time. Her colleagues, many of whom she taught in elementary school themselves, say Mrs. Fortner leaves a lasting impression on everyone she works with. She supports all of her students equally and takes the time to understand each unique personality while making sure parents and students alike are comfortable, said a fellow Brooks Hill staff member. Mrs. Fortner is grateful to have learned so much from students, colleagues, and families. From her students, she learned to stop and enjoy the simple things. Their humor was so refreshing. From her colleagues and mentors, she learned professionalism. Mrs. Fortner continues to learn new things from them every day. She does see herself, though, as a product of all those before her, and would like to thank her amazing colleagues for their incredible impact on her. Above all, Mrs. Fortner is grateful for her family, for Mike, Luke, Jack, Mark, and for her parents, for all of their support. Please join me in recognizing Mrs. Fortner. We thank you for your wonderful presence, for your innumerable contributions to our district, and most of all, we wish you the most congratulations on this honor.
It's just amazing how we are drawn to excellence. And I was a building principal for 9 years at JP, but I always knew of you, Cindy. I really have, and I think, and I say that because of your caring spirit, your commitment to the education process to be the best for your students, but the love that you conveyed, always welcoming. And you know, like I said, I don't think I had any business knowing you, being at JP, but just when our paths cross, you know, when you're drawn to your spirit, and I think your students speak to that, and we're really proud, and I'm honored to be a part of your journey here in Fairport. Sophie Mulconnery will be presenting Mr. David Lanning.
Good evening. Tonight, I have the incredible privilege of honoring Mr. Dave Lanning. We celebrate Mr. Lanning for 53 years and counting of dedicated work in our district. Mr. Lanning was hired in 1969 as a history teacher at Martha Brown Middle School. His career took him next to Fairport High School, where he continued to teach history. While teaching students every day, Mr. Lanning also devoted his time to student athletes as the head varsity football coach and the head varsity baseball coach. During his time as a coach, he led the football team to 4 Section 5 titles, and in 1997 led the team as they earned the title of New York State champions. As a baseball coach, his team brought home 3 sectional titles. Mr. Lanning continues his work to this day as the high school's ISS monitor. 53 years of work filled with accomplishments makes him most deserving of this recognition. Mr. Lanning was born on the Jersey Shore, and at 8 years old, his father's job transfer moved him to East Rochester. The transition for Mr. Lanning was easy. He was a strong student and athlete. Throughout high school, Mr. Lanning played many sports and was very competitive with Fairport, as they were his rivals. As his academic and athletic career continued, he had the opportunity to play football in college and even had the chance to try out for the New York Jets. All of his experience in sports contributed to the great knowledge that he shared coaching Fairport teams. Not only did Mr. Lanning's coaching lead to titles, but recognition and several awards. Coach Lanning has been recognized as an inductee on the Section 5 Football Hall of Fame, the Section 5 Baseball Hall of Fame, and has received numerous Coach of the Year awards. From his first day in Fairport, Mr. Lanning has brightened the building with his humor and wisdom. The energy he shares with our community was present during my conversation with him. These attributes helped him connect with students, and by relating to the individual, he could help them to succeed and find their own path. Over the years in Fairport, Mr. Lanning's sincere interactions with students provided him with an awareness of each student's potential and good intentions. He found pride in watching the most challenged student overcome and succeed. He formed meaningful relationships with colleagues, including his mentors, Al Dianetti and Dominic Tallarico. If Mr. Lanning ever retires, he will miss working with his colleagues and seeing them all work so well with students. He will also miss coaching athletes and the energy that fills the building. Mr. Lanning is grateful for his family, including his late wife and 3 sons, for supporting him every day and traveling to all of the games. He is also thankful for the entire faculty for being supportive and invested in impacting the lives of students every day. Mr. Lanning left me with many words of wisdoms, like, don't do it for the popularity contest. Instead, give your best every day and help others out along the way. Show courage and do what you think is best, even if others don't agree. And lastly, find laughter each day, because in the end, if there is something to laugh about, you know it was a good day. Please join me in recognizing Mr. Lanning. We thank you for the countless impacts you have made on so many in the Fairport community, and we wish you congratulations.
Again, drawn to excellence. I have a couple Dave Lanning stories. Again, I remember watching Dave Lanning as I was coaching however many years ago, 30 years ago, on the sidelines. And I would just see this guy walking out in the middle of the field, right? I try walking out in the middle of the field, I get a flag. But it speaks to the respect that he commanded. And another piece, you know, we were in the Fairport. We never beat Fairport, right? Nobody ever beat Fairport, right? And we were in the hallways, and we were outside of his classroom. And I remember reading this powerful story that he had on outside of his classroom door, right? And I thought to myself, that is so cool. Guess what? I started to do that. And that was a way to connect with kids. So you're teaching people and you didn't even know it. And again, honored to be a part of your journey. Humble, gracious, thoughtful. It's been an honor to meet you, and thanks for always being so welcoming. Dave Lanning. Travis White will speak to Laura Mangarian's approach and touch at Dudley School, the school nurse.
Laura Mangarian. She is a woman who deserves to be recognized. I am honored to be a part of her induction this evening. Mrs. Mangarian has been helping kids in the Fairport community for over 12 years as a school nurse at Dudley. Even though the job of a school nurse isn't the easiest, Mrs. Mangarian loves her time at Dudley because of a very important reason: the kids. She entered the profession of nursing to be with kids, and her desire to support families remains her purpose today. Initially, Mrs. Mangarian was a nurse at Rochester General in critical care, but eventually found her way to becoming a school nurse, as supporting the kids has always been her passion. When Mrs. Mangarian grew up, she was the oldest of 4, always happy to fill the role of caretaker and a role model to her siblings. Perhaps her upbringing was precisely what helped her develop the teamwork to thrive in a school atmosphere. To this day, Mrs. Mangarian advocates for that teamwork is essential in her position as a school nurse. In fact, she humbly claims that she wouldn't be here tonight if it weren't for the help from her personal team, her kids, her husband, all the teachers' assistants, and the students that have walked through her doors. Along her journey working in the school system, Mrs. Mangarian has learned that everyone isn't perfect. People come from different backgrounds and have different experiences. Just because one person is one way doesn't mean that everyone is like them or has to be like them. Working with kids has taught Mrs. Mangarian that everyone has their own story, and she models the need to listen and consider everyone's unique story. Her colleagues at Dudley have no shortage of kind words for appreciation for her. One colleague states, "At Dudley School, we celebrate being a star. S is for being safe. Mrs. Mangarian does an excellent job at keeping the school community safe, particularly during the time of COVID. T is for treating others kindly. Every adult or child that enters the nurse's office is treated in a calm, kind manner. AR is for acting responsibly. With all the medications of the 600 plus students at our school, plus the sick and healthy children that move in and out of the nurse's office daily, plus the calls from concerned parents, Mrs. Mangerian is always ultra responsible, with all the working parts of her busy office. She is one of those people who just quietly and efficiently does her job every day with no complaints. It is clear that her job touches every other person at our school, and she truly models the values of Dudley School. When I was chatting with Mrs. Mangerian at our luncheon, she recalled a memorable story at the day at Dudley. One day, there was a sudden influx of kids that apparently all needed help to see the nurse's office for various reasons. Keeping her composure, she checked through all of them, but more and more kids were coming in, and the office soon became overcrowded. Ironically, the class was not there for health care. Rather, she was surprised to learn that the entire class had checked into the nurse's office to thank her for being such a great nurse and for being the person she is. Mrs. Mangerian, I am honored to use the microphone tonight to be the voice of more than just the group of students on that day. I speak on behalf of the Fairport family when I say that you truly deserve to be recognized for all that you have done for this community. Thank you for everything you've done to better the lives of all the people you've encountered. Congrats on your induction, and thanks for being the type of person that makes the Fairport family special.
The heart of a nurse, right? You can't match it. And as any principal, and I see a few of you out there, or school administrator would know that your nurse sets the tone for the school, right? They take care of all the tiers. They take care of the social emotional needs of students and sometimes staff members as well. Having an amazing nurse really makes a difference. And Laura, you really match that. And when you walk into Dudley, and as a Dudley parent at one point in time, it's comforting to know that somebody is there with heart, soul, and a caring mindset that sets Dudley School apart. And it's because of you. Congratulations. How about our amazing student speakers? Sophie, Katie, Greg, and Travis, please stand up. Thank you for the time, care, and interest that you put into this endeavor. It makes a difference, and I know that you know that it makes a difference because of what you presented and shared. So we're proud of you, and I look forward to seeing you continue to do great things. Tonight, we are affirming the stories and legacies of John, Cindy, Laura, and Dave. They have inspired countless colleagues and children in our Fairport schools. We're grateful for their stories, and we know that the late and revered Matt Drizio, one of the founding members of this recognition, is smiling down on us this evening with pride as we pay tribute to our professional educators. These culture carriers up here have fully embraced the sacred mantle of being called an educator with so much class, style, and Fairport pride. Congratulations. Let's give them a big round of applause. To the loved ones that are here tonight, this is your night here too. Right? Thank you for sharing our honorees with us. The countless hours, I know you heard all about them, all right? The early mornings, the late nights, the sleepless nights, and the commitment of being a professional educator certainly does not happen without sacrifice and a greater understanding from a caring and loving family. This is your award too. So let's give a big round of applause to our families. You have plenty of opportunities to take pictures, and I know that we're going to go celebrate by the auditorium or in the cafeteria area. We'll be having some special treats, and we'll be able to see their pictures up on the screen out there. John, Cindy, Dave, and Laura, we are proud to call you colleagues and friends. Thank you for sharing your uniqueness and richness of heart. Congratulations. Thank you, everybody. Please feel free to take pictures, enjoy the moments here, and we'll see you out in the lobby.